r/AskReddit. Hotel staff of Reddit. How often do you catch people nude in the halls and what's your best story? NSFW. Been working 3 years as a night manager and it honestly only happened once. Knocked on a room where I suspected that a guest was smoking on the room. He opened the door completely nude and casual. Should have embarked on a steamy affair which ends up with you going undercover with an arms dealer for MI6. After taking down the arms dealer, the night manager and the guest have passionate victory sex. He lights a post-coital cigarette. Ha, I knew it. You're getting a deep cleaning charge on your bill. I used to work at Great Wolf Lodge. I'd catch people having sex in the hot tubs quite often. It was always awkward having to go tell them to stop. Edit. Again. Not Wisconsin Dells location, this was Virginia. But I'm sure this happens at all of them. You have nothing to worry about. They keep up with the water quality very well, at least when I was there. No. You cannot get pregnant from swimming in a pool with jizz. Starting to wonder just how much jizz I was stewing in last time I went there. I was water park maintenance. We kept the water quality top notch, at least at our location, so you didn't gotta worry about getting pregnant from swimming. One time housekeeping brought the front desk a bag of sex toys that were left behind. After 5 seconds of checking the system, I find that the guests are here for 2 more nights. Housekeeping ran back to put the bag where they found it before the guests came back. Doesn't housekeeping have a list of which rooms need to be vacated and which don't? Were they just going by does it look moved out? Seems like that system could go horribly wrong in many different ways. The hotel I did night audit it would have a list ready in the AM for cleaners. They'd divvy it up between themselves and mark off when a room was cleaned. The list would show rooms that need a quick tidy, guests still checked in, or rooms that are going to be checked out of that day. I once worked in a hotel where the staff accommodation was a small house outside the back of the hotel, surrounded by 4 guest accommodation cottages. My friend and colleague had gone down to the hotel in the morning to make him and his partner breakfast. On the way back, carrying a mug of coffee in each hand and a plate of toast balanced on each mug, he passed a family of newly arrived guests unloading their car into their cottage. The cord tying his bathrobe came loose and his gown came open, exposing all. With both hands full he had no choice but nod, smile and say morning in the most cheery voice he could muster and walk on. Not sure what the parents made of this. I do feel sorry for the children though. Edit. Spelling. The things that can be fixed with a pair of boxers. Last week I had to shoo an amorous couple out from behind the dumpster. Our hotel has the worst smelling dumpster I've ever had the displeasure of experiencing. The thought of anything sexual going on back there is enough to make me gag. Maybe that's why they like it. The smell of rotting garbage is enough to cover the scent of your disgusting genitals. Babe, I got us a new thing to spice things up a little in the bedroom. It's a skunk. Finally one I can answer. I caught someone once. Well, I didn't have to catch them. They came to me. I worked night audit at a local hotel. One night morning around 5 AM I was at the desk when the elevator started moving. At the time we didn't have cameras so I didn't know what to expect. When it stopped in the lobby the doors opened and I see a man with a card looking slightly shocked. Then from the blind spot from where I was standing out stepped a man with a cigarette in hand and nothing but a small towel around his waist. He looked pissed. He stormed up to the desk and demanded a new room key, all while yelling about how he got lost in the confusing as duck rooms. I confirmed his room best I could given the situation and sent him on his way. The poor man that was in the elevator with him looked like he saw more than I did and didn't want to talk about it. An hour later the man came down to the lobby to check out and demanded a full refund for embarrassing him and for not clearly labeling the balcony door and the hallway door. I laughed and told him to call my manager, which he did later that day. Kicker is the room he was in had 2 doors. A bathroom door on one side of the room, and on the completely other side with a fire map. Chain lock and deadbolt the room door. There was no balcony attached to his room. Did he get a refund? As a former retail manager, definitely. If they aren't happy and aren't being reasonable you tell them to go home and chill out for a day and then they can call you if they are still unhappy. Most people come to their senses and realize they're being an asshole. A lot of people are determined to get free hit though. This was about 5-6 years ago, but I'll probably never forget it. A couple was ducking all morning in a room I was supposed to clean later on. You could hear them on the entire floor. After lunch, I see them leaving. Both in business suits. Both very classy. Late 30s. Both very attractive. I opened the door and the room was trashed as if a rock star from the 70s stayed there. Crushed crisps. Spilled booze. The sofa. The bed. The bathroom was such a mess. Those usual 20 minutes they give you for cleaning would never be enough even for 3 people. They left a £40 tip on the table and a note saying sorry. Was £40 worth the clean? I must be a poor tipper because that sounds like a lot. Had one dude full on nude walking about, but that was boring. Best was a guy who called down, said he was locked out of his room after sleepwalking. Go up. He's just in boxers. I let him in, then come down to check the cameras. Dude was straight wandering the halls, penis in hand, slowly stroking it whilst he knocked on doors, then comes back down the hallway. Pees into a bin in front of the elevators and then calls down. You can even see the moment he wakes up he looks confused and lost. Was a good laugh. He got charged hazardous waste cleanup fee. Doing this while sleepwalking is my worst nightmare. He was pulled aside the next day by the supervisor to tell him about the added charge to his account. He was trying to keep it down as he didn't want his wife to hear. I'm guessing sleepwalking is an ongoing issue for him. I used to work as overnight auditor for a hotel. One day while I was doing rounds at 3 AM, I thought I saw something moving at the opposite end of the hallway and I was like, did I just see a naked man? This poor guy was sleepwalking butt naked while hugging himself. Our hallways are freezing cold. I approached him closer and said hello sir. He turned his head and said hey. I was like, is he still asleep? 5 seconds later, I guess he realized what was going on. He said I'm so sorry. I gave him a rob from a nearby housekeeping closet, took him to the lobby to verify his identity. Obviously he doesn't have ID on him. I gave him a room key and followed him back to his room to make sure he doesn't sleep on his way back or whatever. Had to read the part about gave him a rob twice. Thought this took an interesting turn. Not my story, but my brother manages a nice hotel that happens to be near a red light district. One day, he gets this tourist who books a double room for a month. Ideally as far away from the main entrance as possible. Guest checks in. And starting on the 3rd day, there's this conga line of prostitutes coming in and out of the guy's room. By my brother's own count, the guy's personal record is 16 different women in a day. That's not the crazy part. One day, guest comes to front desk with a woman on each arm and asks my brother if he could book an Uber. Brother obliges and books the guest an Uber. Guest then tips with a prostitute. As in, full on offers the girl up to him and says, you wanna have a go? I sincerely hope nobody ever takes a black light to that room. Edit. To answer the important question. No. He did not partake. He was on shift and working front desk at the time. Well, did your brother have a go? I don't understand why people can't finish their stories properly. Left out the most important detail. A guy somehow managed to lock himself out of his room naked and had to come to the front desk to get another key. The front desk is separated from the room since there are 5 buildings each with a certain number of rooms and he was in the one furthest from the desk. So he had to walk naked across the property. The saving grace was that it was around midnight so no one was around. Also I was sitting down and the counter goes to around chest high, so I just thought he didn't have a shirt on until he was walking away and I did a double take as I got a good look at his flabby ass. This is my ducking's nightmare. Being that dude. It happens surprisingly often, to be honest. It snows here and during one winter another one did the same, but at least he had some shorts on. He had to do the cold walk of shame in snow back to his room. I was working morning shift one day and it was almost 3, so I'm getting ready to leave. The business center was right in front of the front desk. Across the lobby. I'm counting money and I look up to see big booty Judy getting pounded out on one of the computers and a guest with his junk out. Going to town. I was in shock. Right then my co-worker walks in and sees him too. She said, "Sir, this is a family hotel. Get to your room. Now. If you're reading this, T. Thanks for handling that. Sir. Go to your room. Priceless. I can't help to hear this with a mom voice and a chancler in one hand. Not a worker but saw a dude walking this hot chick like a dog with a leash in a hotel once. Master slave, pet, exhibitionist. Very thrilling. I always regret not asking if I could have a go. I'm sure they would have said no lol. I used to work security at a large casino resort and we got a call at around 3 AM one night about a naked and frantic woman running down the halls of one of our hotel towers. So we go up there and sure enough find a woman bawling her eyes out completely nude. We got her a towel from the linen closet so she at least had something to cover up and then she calmed down to tell us she had met a guy on the casino floor and went up to his room and he attempted to rape her and got all her clothes off and scratched her up pretty good but she fought like hell and got out of the room. Needless to say the cops came and the guy was dragged out and justice was served. Oh, he had a black eye when we got him out of the room too. She whooped his ass. Holy hit, I'm glad she managed to escape. Creepy hit. I really hope you meant bawling her eyes out. Bawling her eyes out. Like with an ice cream scoop or melon baller or similar tool. Is a way worse thing. Not a worker but one time we had a bachelor party and rented a hotel for about 10 of us. One of our buddies got hit faced before it even got dark and we took him back to the hotel because he wasn't about to get in anywhere and kept complaining about being ready to go back. We dropped him off and proceeded to go on with our night. An hour or two later the hotel called one of our buddies whose name was on the room and told us we needed to get back because our buddy was laying in the hall outside our room naked. I'm not sure what happened. But he lost the room key and for whatever reason decided to get naked so he could go to sleep. The room key was in his pocket. Lamest hangover sequel yet. Night ended up being pretty good for us after we got him back in the room and went back out. Finding him in the hall naked always makes for a good story though. I generally see at least one naked person a month. To be fair, my hotel is in the nightclub area so everyone is usually fairly intoxicated. I've had my elevator turn into a softcore porn studio on multiple occasions. But the one time that always stands above the rest is one time this guy was going down on this young lady. The elevator was still on the ground floor and someone entered the lobby. After greeting the guest I ran out the back to watch the security camera. This young lady walked in on the other two. He pulls his head out from under the girl's skirt. Wipes his face and smiles. I'm rolling on the floor laughing my ass off. Other enjoyable one was this guy come to reception because he locked himself out of his room. He was completely naked. Normally people try to get my attention in some subtle way. The guy just walks down 4 flights of stairs. Walks to the desk and casually says I left my key in my room. I hand him a new key and he goes to walk back up the stairs. Sees a few girls looking at him from outside. Gives them a wave. And a pose. Then proceeds back to his room. The level of I don't give a duck this guy had still impresses me. That second bloke. Sounds like it ain't his first time. Or duck. I did it again. Reminds me of that Mr. Bean episode. Had 2 young, mid-20s, ladies come to the front desk at about 2:30 AM wrapped in towels asking if they could take a swim. I told them the pool closed at 10 PM. They dropped their towels and said how about now? My reply? Very nice. But you still can't use the pool. I still have the footage on VHS somewhere. Close bracket. No. You'll want the towels. VHS or it didn't happen. I have sleepwalked occasionally. Maybe 2-3 times that I know of. On one occasion I woke standing in a hotel hallway wearing just my undertrunks. Had no idea which door I'd come out of. No idea where I was. The place was completely silent. I had no idea what to do. Took me a minute or so to realize I was even in a hotel. Terrifying. Thankfully, I'd chosen to sleep in shorts that night and my wife-to-be eventually woke up. Looked out into the hall and found me. Sleepwalking is the worst. I woke up casually walking about in someone's private garden once. All these replies make me think I should start working in a hotel near a nightclub. Do you really want to see someone with a huge cock muffler duck a car? I hope this doesn't get lost. I know I'm late. My uncle was the general manager of a resort up in Pennsylvania and he told me a story about how a Little People convention came and had an event at the resort. The next day the honeymoon suite was vacant again, so they rented out to this newlywed couple. They weren't in the room but 10 or 15 minutes before screaming was heard. Turns out the night before there were 3 midgets staying in that room and they all got pretty trashed. So trashed that one of them got naked and the other 2 threw him up onto wardrobe cabinet. He didn't wake up to the cleaning lady and so they thought the room was empty. The married couple screamed because they saw a pair of eyes peek up above the wardrobe as they were consummating the marriage. It's not every day you go on your honeymoon to find a naked midget above your wardrobe. This one wins. Thanks for watching and be sure to subscribe to RedditQueen for the best daily content.